of C++. Now, most courses are written for people who have an understanding of some sort of programming language. This program is going to start from the very basics. We're going to assume that people do not know C++ at all, or any other programming language for that matter, and we're going to build all the way up to a calculator app that runs in your console window. Now the first thing we need to do is here on the desktop we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it part 1 with no spaces, and then inside that we're going to open it up. You can see it here. In here we're going to create a new document, an empty document, and we're going to call it part 1.cpp. Okay, now that that's created, we're going to close this. We're going to press Control-Alt-T, which is going to open up our terminal window. Because we're in Linux, this is a very important thing to us. This is how everything gets done. Now, so that you guys can see this better, we'll zoom in a couple times. Alright, now we're going to do sudo apt update. Enter our password. It's going to get a bunch of updates here. This takes a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to do sudo apt install G++. It's going to ask us, it's going to install it. There. Alright. Now it's done. So G++ is installed. Okay. Now remember this folder. We're going to go back into this folder, and we're going to open this up. It's just called text editor. So we're in here now, and as you can see down here, because we named it CPP, this text editor knows that it is a CPP document, a C++ document. Now because we installed G++ here, this is a compiler. This is what allows this text that we're about to write to run in the to be compiled and then ran. So over here we're going to need to do a couple things. Let's make this bigger so that you guys can see it. Now we need to do hashtag include IO stream. Okay. Then we're going to do using namespace standard. Then we need to create our main function. This is where all of our code lives. These are things that the system provides to us that they allow us to use these things. So the computer already has these things, and all of the code that we're about to write lives in int main, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, bracket. Everything that we write lives inside main here. Now the first thing we're going to do is cout, which stands for console out, and we're going to write hello world, and then every line of code has to end with a semicolon. That lets the compiler know this is an independent piece of code. So we cout, and then we need to return. We need to tell the computer, hey, we're done here. We've done everything that we want to do. So we're going to return 0. And this tells the 0 just basically tells the computer, hey, we're done here, and everything went good. Nothing failed. If an error happens, then the computer would return 1 instead of 0. So we're going to save this. So Control S. We're going to save that. Now in here, we're going to go we're going to go ls. ls tells us where we're at. We're going to go cd desktop, because that's where our file lives. ls tells us what's in there. Part 1's in there, so we're going to cd part 1 ls. We can see part1.cpp, so we're going to go G++ part1.cpp. Boom. And that's going to run. Now we're going to ls again, and this is just what's going to show us what's inside of that folder again. And we can see now over here there's a.out, and that is the result of what the compiler did. So this is now our program. It's in machine code. If we opened it up, we wouldn't be able to read it. This is what our program does here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'll show you guys that in a more traditional way here with our folder. And we can see here in our folder where we created our part1.cpp is our a.out. So how we do this is we're going to close this, and we'll come back over here to our terminal, and we're going to run this by saying // which means we're going to go sudo dot slash, which means run. This is the Linux way of saying run. So we're going to say run a dot out, which is the program that was created from compiling our code here. And we're going to hit enter. And we can see that right here, hello world. Okay, so that wrote. Now, if we wanted to make this a little bit neater, we could put we can put an end line character. We can put an end line character here by saying plus, or no, by using this output operator, which is what this is called, the output operator here. We can put an end L, which means end line. Okay, so we need to save this again, and then we need to go, we'll enter out here, and we need to recompile this. So every time we change our code, we have to compile it, which means we have to go g++ part1.cpp again. Okay, it compiled ls, and now we can see we still have this a.out, and then we're going to go sudo /a.out, enter. Hello world, and you can see this time there was a break in the code. So this cout here, this is what allows us to communicate with our users, anybody that's using the code that we write. This will output to our users everything that goes on the console here, which is what this terminal is also known as a console, and that all gets outputted here. Everything that we write here gets output here. In the next section, we're going to talk about receiving code from a user.